If you listen closely, you can hear a sound, and that's coming from New York establishments because they are celebrating in Manhattan. The Knicks, for them, that's more like it, a business-like performance as they beat the Atlanta Hawks 114-98 to even the series at 2 games apiece and take it back to Madison Square Garden on Tuesday night. This is a weekend edition of The Association, breaking down all of the NBA playoffs. I'm John Fanta. Pleased to be joined by New Orleans Pelicans analyst, Sirius XM Radio. He was the 4th overall pick in the 1997 draft, a 1999 NBA champion. Antonio Daniels with us on this Saturday night. AD, great to be with you, my friend. The New York Knicks coming off back-to-back 1-point losses tonight. Totally different case. They win in commanding fashion in Atlanta. What changed for the Knicks to get control back in this series?
Okay, I'll give you 2 things that I saw from the difference from tonight as opposed to the 2 games you just referenced, John. One was the involvement of Karl Anthony Towns, the aggressiveness of Karl Anthony Towns. I know Jalen Brunson is that guy, but when the New York Knicks make a concerted effort to get Karl Anthony Towns involved, there's a different energy. There's a different energy, not just around him, but in the arena as a whole. That's one. And second, their defensive intensity picked up. They didn't simply sit back and drop coverage all night. They took the game to the Atlanta Hawks. They didn't wait for the Atlanta Hawks to take the game to them. They double teamed, they blitzed, they took the ball out of C.J. McCollum's hands. They made life a little more difficult tonight on Jonathan Kuminga and Jalen Johnson. What I love that the Knicks did tonight, 1, they involved Karl Anthony Towns, and 2, they were extremely aggressive off the jump defensively.
Let's stick with Towns. He becomes the 4th Knick to have a triple-double in a playoff game, joining one Walt Frazier, Dick McGuire, and Josh Hart. 20, 10, and 10 for Towns. Antonio, we've seen it throughout this season. Mike Brown talking about getting Cat involved, engaged, but also saying, well, Karl Anthony Towns is a long-term all-star, one of the best players in this league. He's got to get after it, too. Well, tonight, that combination, it worked. We saw it in form. When you think about what he just did and how big of a key that is for the Knicks to make a run to what they sought out to in October, make a run to a championship, is he not the single biggest determinant of this team's ceiling?
Yes. I could not agree with you more. He is the ceiling for this particular team because they're going to go as he goes. Jalen Brunson's going to be great. You're going to have the ancillary pieces doing their thing, but Karl Anthony Towns can't play or be treated like he's just another guy, like he's simply a role player out there. And here's the thing you know about bigs, and I won't just say the NBA. You can go back to high school, college, AAU, grassroots basketball. If you involve them, they do the little things, right? You notice when you talked about Karl Anthony Towns' line tonight, you didn't say 20 and 10. You said 20, 10, and 10. When you get bigs involved, they'll do all the little things. They want to facilitate. They want to run. They want to screen. They want to rebound. They want to rim protect. Them involving Karl Anthony Towns gives this team a completely different level that they can play on when he's disengaged.
Look, we're looking at the box score now. OG Anunoby has 22 points in this game. Josh Hart, he finished with 10 points. It didn't feel like it with his impact on the game, specifically on the defensive end of the floor. Deuce McBride, Jordan Clarkson, Alvarado made some plays defensively. We did see a little bit less of Mikal Bridges in the minutes column. But, Antonio, desperation brings something out of a team. And it felt like that from the jump tonight for New York. Like, this was a different Knicks team than the prior 2 games. And that goes back to what you were talking about defensively. Players not named Nickeil Alexander-Walker for the Atlanta Hawks shot a combined 5 for 31 from 3 tonight, AD.
This is the most aggressive I've seen the Knicks defensively in this series. And again, there are different times throughout the course of games where you can ramp up the defensive intensity, right? In the last 5 minutes of games and the clutch time where games get bogged down. I'm talking about from the jump today. And the word that you used, John, that I could not agree with you more is desperation. The Knicks played a defensively desperation type of basketball game. They did not wait. They didn't sit back and say, all right, well, let's see how the Atlanta Hawks are going to play. They took the game to the Atlanta Hawks from the jump. And Atlanta had a difficult time kind of adjusting, which had them chasing the game for the majority of the game. This is the best version of the New York Knicks for me, where you have different guys that are involved offensively, but defensively, you use that quickness, you use that speed, you use that aggressiveness, you use that athleticism, and get after teams and not simply sit back and wait for teams to throw the first punch.
The NBA playoffs are fantastic. They're delivering the goods right now. Let's reset the bracket. Let's look at everybody talks about Wild Wild West. It's really the Wild Wild East. I mean, you don't have any of these four series at 3-0 as Oklahoma City took game 3 out west in Phoenix. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was brilliant earlier today. You've got the Lakers. It is wild to see them up 3-0 on the Rockets. There aren't a lot of people that had that going into this series. But then if you look at the East, the 8th seed, the Orlando Magic, are up 2-1 on the Detroit Pistons. Raptors, Cavs, that game 4 is tomorrow. That's at 2-1. Sixers, Celtics is at 2-1 in favor of Boston after last night. And now this series is at 2-2 through 4 games. It just goes to show you, Antonio, what we talked about in the Eastern Conference all year is, okay, it could be a number of teams' ball game. But I like what you said there when you talk about what this means. Like, that's the Knicks team tonight, that if they play like that every night, there's no reason why they can't come on the Eastern Conference if they play like this.
Agreed. But here's the thing. You're talking about teams that are at their best. Today is one of the games where the Knicks are at their best. So the question that you ask yourself, can this Knicks team at its best beat the Detroit team at its best, or beat the Boston team at its best? Because that's really what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. Who can play at their peak performance for a consistent amount of time? Because you're not going to do this every game. You're not going to do this every game. The playoffs and the NBA season, it's a roller coaster. But when you have an opportunity to play at your best, especially in desperation times, you need to do it such. Now, the question that you ask yourself about some of these series, you just talked about Detroit and Orlando. It was great to see Orlando punch back the way that they did, to let everybody know that game 1 in Detroit wasn't a fluke. It was great to see Toronto fight back at home. That's a very tough venue to win in Toronto. Very tough. And then the Philadelphia 76ers fighting back without Joel Embiid. So you're right. This Eastern Conference, these games have been something special to watch, because you see two teams that are simply going at it night in and night out.
Yeah, the East is theater every single night. And speaking of theater, the Knicks-Hawks series goes back to Broadway Tuesday night, NBC, for game number 5, 8 Eastern time. There are 4 NBA playoff games tomorrow. We'll show you that schedule. Doubleheader on ESPN, a doubleheader on NBC. Folks, we're just getting started with you on this Saturday night. It's the Association Weekend Edition. Coming up, you'll hear press conferences from Atlanta as the Knicks have even the series with the Hawks.